Welcome to episode 2. I've got Rob Campbell from Eye on the Target Radio along with me. We'll be talking about travel safety and most popular guns of 2019. And of course, we'll get into some Virginia information. All right, welcome to Protect You. Again, it's John McCreary as the host. Got Rob Campbell watching over me today to, again, make sure I'm not breaking anything. Hopefully that goes well. Try not to screw up too hard. It's been a crazy week, so I might be a little discombobulated. This could be a complete train wreck tonight, so we'll see what happens. Little Leonard Skinner there to kick off the show. Give me back my bullets. I'm pretty sure if somebody went to Rob's house and tried to take all of his bullets, it would take weeks and weeks for him to get them back because it would take weeks for them to probably get them out of his house. So spent another week clinging to my guns and my religion. It's a good week, but a little hectic. So if you guys want to join in on the conversation, give us a call, 330-673-2428, and that spells out chat on your phone. So it's a good way to remember quickly how to dial in. 330-673-2428 or chat. Thanks for joining us again this week. I've been having fun doing this and a lot of fun stuff at the holidays. Some things we'll be talking about tonight, maybe some travel safety, kind of keeping with the theme of what to buy for Christmas. I have some what were the most popular guns of 2019. I did hear Rob and Amanda discussing earlier. They had a very wacky list. Amanda got it, and I don't think she was understanding. I don't think any of us understood how some of those showed up as top guns for 2019. But we'll run through our list, and this was based on sales, so hopefully maybe a little more common stuff. But even as I looked through the list, I said, "Oh, what? Why did that come up as a top gun for 2019?" So let me jump into that. This actually came off of guns.com. And again, new guns, best-selling new guns of 2019. Most popular rimfire pistol, the ATI GSG 1911. Not sure if any of you guys have played with these guns. They are a really great training tool. You know, anytime you can get a almost full-size 1911 style gun in the hands of somebody in a 22. 22s are wonderful for training because there's not a whole lot of recoil there. The sound is pretty similar to a regular firearm, but maybe not as bad, especially if you've got good ear protection on. Of course, low recoil. You know, if you're teaching somebody new and you can get them on a 22, that recoil is probably one of the biggest things that just scares the crap out of people. And if you can find a gun that's not going to recoil and beat them up, yeah, it's a great way to go. And a full-size gun that doesn't recoil much, that's great. You know, you're training somebody to run a full-size gun. You know, some of the 22s can be a little bit smaller, not as easy to handle. So it's a good way to start some people out. And these are fairly inexpensive. I think these go for around $230. So a great way to, again, training pistol. Most popular semi-auto pistol in a duty size, the SIG P320. Not surprising at all. Anytime the government goes out and starts buying guns in large quantities, people go, oh, I think I probably need that. If it's good enough for the government and Uncle Sam and all of his people, it's good enough for me. So I'm not sure why people do it that way. I guess because they did the testing. But I think if you probably looked at some of that testing behind the scenes, there's probably some money changing hands and a lot of good sales going on. So it's maybe not always the best. And again, that's not knocking the SIG because it's a great gun. But just understand that that's not always the reason that, you know, just because it's a good gun, because it gets into the government's hands. Most popular semi-auto mid-size, Glock 19. That one seems to be, you know, on everyone's wish list. Super popular gun, carried by a lot of people. Again, a lot of police department type situations going on with the Glock 19s. And they're really nice because there's so much aftermarket support for them, and they're not too big. They're the mid-size gun from Glock. Holds a pretty good amount of capacity. And with all the red dot stuff going on out there, these guns are easily switched over to the red dots or customized. There's so much aftermarket stuff, aftermarket magazines. So yeah, a lot of companies are supporting the Glock with their products, so it's a good way to go. Most popular semi-auto subcompact, the Ruger LCP. I see these come through almost every single class I teach. The only drawback I find with the LCPs, well, actually there's two. The small size, and I know there's a balance here. People are like, but I need a small gun for concealed carry. You were absolutely right. It helps. Is it the end-all, be-all? No. The bigger problem I see with the LCPs is the recoil. People are very sensitive to the recoil of them. And the LCP is not horrible, but people just have a harder time shooting the smaller guns. I find that they over grip. on the bottom of the grip with their pinkies and stuff, and they just over squeeze them, and then it starts beating them up, and then they're up, they're down on their targets. So again, not a knock on it. You can learn to shoot any gun. The LCP is just small, but it is hugely popular because it is so small. Most popular full-size revolver, the ever ubiquitous Ruger GP100. These things are not cheap. They run around probably $600, but incredibly accurate guns, easy to shoot. The recoil is almost nil because it's such a heavy gun. So if you're looking for something to tame some recoil, a heavier gun like that is pretty popular. Most popular AR-15 pistol. So this is one probably this year. I bet it's the first time it's cracked this list, just because the AR pistol has not been. It really seems to have been taken off in the last couple of years, and people really seem to be jumping on the boat with these. And I love them. What a great way! It almost gets rid of the idea of having a short-barreled rifle when you start looking at some of these pistol braces. Man, and talking about nice to be able to take a smaller rifle with you on the road that you can pack in a bag or keep real close to you. You need a little more zip than just your handgun. Keep it right there and carry it on your concealed handgun license here in Ohio. I just haven't found a good holster for it yet. So trying to carry that inside the waistline can be a little bit tough without a good holster, right? Most popular M1911 is the 45 Colt M 1991. Can't go wrong. 2 world wars. I know a lot of people don't want to shoot the bigger, old, heavier guns, and the guys who are shooting the old, bigger, heavier guns don't like the new plastic guns, but there's just something that feels right about a Colt and a 1911 style gun. I know some of my students who are listening right now might be appalled. They said, did John just say 1911 is an okay gun? I know. I gave up my Glock. I talked bad about the Glock for half a second. It went to the 1911. I know if Missy and Skeeter are listening, you guys know I love the Glock, but a 1911 cough sometimes is a-okay. I will take some flack on that one, and that's okay because I tend not to group think, and that's all right. Most popular small frame revolver, the Smith & Wesson 442. This just barely beat out some of the Rugers in the small revolver, so can't beat them. They're small, easy to shoot, quite frankly, even for a small gun. I like them. I like a revolver a lot of times because they're easy to pack away. Don't have to worry as much, stuff getting hung up in them. Now, again, I have this discussion with people. They're like, well, John, which gun is going to malfunction less? If you keep up your semi-auto and you keep them clean, they're not going to malfunction. They're fine. But revolvers, I know people say, oh, they never malfunction. Nah. If a revolver malfunctions, good luck getting it back in the fight because you've probably done something really wrong and it's really done. Most popular rifles and shotguns. The most popular AR-15 came out as the Bushmaster XM15 QRC. I'm not quite sure why. The only thing I can figure is the price range, the price point. I've not played with this very much, but I'm surprised other guns just didn't come out more popular as far as sales. Again, I think people maybe are still looking at the Bushmaster name, and it still rings for some people. But yeah, I really thought it would be something else. Even the M&P, the M&P 15s, I thought would probably be a little bit higher sales, but guess not. Now the M&P 15 and the 22. So yeah, that is the most popular 22 rifle. It even beat out the 1022 and the Marlin 60, which I never would have guessed. I would have assumed it would have been the 1022 or I guess maybe not the 60, but so the M&P 1522, the most popular 22 rimfire. Shocking. Most popular lever action. Anybody guess what this turned out? Not surprised with this one. The Marlin 336. I think everyone probably has one of the 3030s in their house from their dad or somebody or parent who grew up hunting, or it just seemed to be such a popular gun for so many years. I know I cut my teeth on one as a kid, and I know so many people who have them. Great cartridge, and with it being deer season over in PA, I'm guessing it's probably one of the most popular guns being used this week, or was that last week? It was deer season, I think, gun season out there, or one of the first gun seasons. Most popular bolt action rifle. I guess this one doesn't surprise me too much because of how accurate they are and fairly inexpensive. The Mossberg Patriot. These are around $300. Not a bad price, and they're pretty accurate. You can probably even play with them a little bit. and tune them up, make them even more accurate. So play around with those. Fairly inexpensive, and it's a pretty slick one. Most popular shotgun for 2019, the Mossberg 500. Not surprising. I'm thinking either the Remington 870 might have beat it out, but it didn't. The 500 came in first on this one for sales. So actually, I'm looking at this, and it says by a factor of 2 to 1, it was over the Remington 870. So I'm surprised, especially in the, when you're looking at, well, maybe not because of the little subcompact shotguns, I guess you would call them now, with the bird's head grip. The Mossberg seemed to do pretty well with that. Remington did well with it, but I don't know that they got quite the popularity that Mossberg did. Maybe a price thing too. So never a dull moment when you're looking at that kind of stuff. So if you're thinking about a last-minute gift to give somebody, so that might be a good way to go. Look at giving out some of those guns. At least you know that you're getting something that other people thought was popular. Not that it's always good to groupthink, but somebody out there, a bunch of people out there have decided that that's the way to go, and it's a good way to kick off the holidays for somebody. All right, let's talk about, it's a holiday season. I'm guessing a lot of you will probably be on the road at this coming up here soon, maybe doing some traveling. Even if you're not on the road traveling out of state, you might be just traveling around, Lake Geauga County, Summit, Stark, Northeast Ohio, right? What happens in Northeast Ohio around this time of year, we get some weather. So you want to make sure that your car is up to speed. You want to make sure that your tires are being safe. You want to make sure that you've got good tread on them. Just some things to do when you're traveling. Good article on nationwide.com, some travel tips for your holiday. Do your research where you're headed. I spent the night in Columbus last night, and I did a little research on where I was going to stay, but I got to the hotel and it looked like something out of who knows what. Not probably the safest place. All right, Holly, my wife, if you're listening, just plug your ears for a couple seconds. Yeah, it was one of those times where to save a little money, I probably skipped the safety review and to take a look and see what the reviews really were on that one. Read travel review, guys. There's so many options out there now when you're looking at hotels, or if you're looking to even go out to restaurants and stuff. Do the research. Do a little reading. Yelp, Travelocity, they all have really great reviews. One of the things I've started doing when I'm traveling is if I have some question about where I'm staying, Google Maps and using Street View, I will literally, before I get to where I'm going, jump on Google Maps, hit Street View, and I will do a search basically in a almost like a quadrant around where I'm going to be staying, and I'll go about 4 or 5 miles in one direction on Street Views, and I'll make the turn on Street View, come back in make a right, then make another right on Street View. If you're not familiar with Google Maps and Street View, this literally lets you zoom right into the area where you're going to stay, and literally like you were driving down the road, and you can see what's on your left and your right. You can do a 360-degree view. Here's where you start looking at, as you're doing the Google Maps and the Street View, is there a check cashing place next to your hotel? Is there a liquor store next to your hotel? I literally had one time where there was a prison on one side of the street and a strip club on the other. Probably not the best place to spend your money. Well, I guess if you're if you're looking for that kind of thing, then it's a great place to spend your money. But if you're trying to stay safe as you're on the road, probably not the place to stay with the wife and the kids for a couple days and use that type of hotel because it's probably in a pretty rough neighborhood. Don't draw attention to yourself when you're traveling. And what makes you draw attention to yourself? What makes you look like an out-of-towner? Well, most rental companies now don't put their stickers on their cars, but I've seen a few that still do. So if you've got a rental company that's putting a sticker on their car, you might want to ask ahead of time. Sometimes that makes you a little bit of a target. There was a real bad rash of these, gosh, it must have been in the 80s, where I think it was in Florida. People were just getting picked off because they were in rental cars, and the rental car was advertising that it was a rental car because they want their logo out there. They want you to spend money with them, and they want everyone to see their logo. Well, again, became a problem was smart criminals, in quotes, they knew that. And if you pulled up to a stop sign, you were in an unfamiliar area, you made an easy target for yourself. If I'm going to attack somebody, I know you're leaving in a day or two possibly, so you make a really good target for me as a bad guy. I know they don't think like us. Most of us are good human beings, and that wouldn't even cross our mind that something like a car rental sticker would draw attention. Not quite a travel thing, but guys, I'm a huge fan and proponent of not putting a bunch of stickers on your car that say things like honk, I'm reloading, or NRA member, or anything that's going to possibly draw attention to your vehicle that says, hey, that person might have a gun in that car. And when they're not in the car, there's a chance they left it behind, and that makes you a target. If I were a bad guy, I would target your car because there might be a handgun in there. If you're carrying handguns, you might have cash. Who knows what you've left in that car at that point? So again, don't make yourself a target with those type of things. Not so much holiday travel. That's just an overall tip. So absolutely. Things like, we're not as bad with this now, but looking at maps, if you pull off the side of the road and you're looking at a map, you might give yourself away that you aren't quite sure where you are. And if you're in a rough area where people who are, predators might look at something like stopping to look at a map, it might show that you don't know where you're going, and again, making yourself a target. Let friends and family know where you are. Give them a route. Some of you travel out west this time of year. If you're traveling out west and you get in one of these passes where they get snowed in, that can be deadly. You might get stuck there. We might not find you till spring. So it's always good to give somebody, outside of your direct travel party where you're headed. Just give them a heads up. And if you decide to go off that route, let them know. Just shoot them a text, shoot them an email, whatever, and give them an idea that, you're not quite sticking to the original plan you had, and try to keep yourself safe that way. We talked about this a little bit last week. As you're traveling, be wary of public Wi-Fi. Consider using a VPN, which is a virtual private network. Much harder to get to your information if you're using a VPN. And I think I said this last week and I didn't do it. I will try to get up some information on the website about VPNs and how to use them. They're fairly easy, and it again, keeps your information a little more secure when you're out at public Wi-Fi. And this isn't just traveling. This is anytime you're in a public space and you decide you're going to try to use Wi-Fi. A little bit better to run through a VPN. So the website, in case you're not sure of that yet, is Ohio Personal Protection Training, OhioPPT.com. You can catch, classes I have coming up there, some information. There's some videos up there. They link right out to the YouTube. So I have all kinds of videos up. Some of them as goofy as how to open a knife with inertia. Some of them are, I carved up an AK-47 not too long ago. And there's some instructional videos on there how to do some of that kind of stuff. And guys, most of that is for entertainment purposes. Do not follow me for gunsmithing. If you were looking at my website for gunsmithing, not the person. I am like a three-fingered monkey when it comes to mechanical ability. I will be the first one to cut something in half accidentally. I should never have a Dremel in my hand around any other gun except an AK, because quite frankly, you could cut that gun in half and probably put it back together with some tape and super glue, and you'd be okay. All right, back to the travel tips. Another one: make your hotel room seem like it's in use when you're not there. The do not disturb sign, stick that thing on the door. When I leave my room, if I'm coming back and I haven't checked out, I turn my TV on and leave it on at a point where people have to kind of listen and it sounds like I'm in there. So that's kind of a quick way, because people aren't sure. They're like, hey, there's might be somebody in there still watching TV. It's just one more thing for them to have to think through. It's much easier to go to the next room where there's no sound coming out of it, and they might say, might be a quicker target. Again, try it. It doesn't have to be all end all be all. So there's a lot of different things. Keep your curtains closed. I go to hotels sometimes and I'm walking through them, like people are leaving their curtains wide open and I can see everything going on in the room, which I don't want to. And some of the stuff you get to see sometimes is a little creepy. So, close your curtains, because, people don't know them for sure if you're in there or not. And with the windows or with the curtain closed, of course, obviously the privacy issue. People aren't seeing what you got going on. They're not seeing what's in your room. If you've got really nice luggage and it's out and they can see other stuff that you have laying around your room, might make you a target. And let me tell you, again, wifey, close your ears. I've stayed at some Motel 6s that I'm pretty sure that had I stayed an extra night or two, who knows what would have happened. So when you're in some of these areas and you're staying in certain hotels, just be super careful, because there are people who will target hotels just because you're a traveler, and they know you're not going to be around. And if you file a police report, you might not come back for certain things. So I literally stayed at a Motel 6 one night that I heard outside my room. I heard, "Oh God, he's got a knife and he stabbed me." So, that might have been one I probably shouldn't have stayed at. And then there was another fight in the parking lot later that night. So choose wisely, you guys. Going back to the Google Street View thing, I literally was scrolling through some hotels one time, and the picture that popped up on Street View had 4 police cars outside the main office. I didn't pick that one. Crazy concept. So that's, again, back to the Street Views. Use it to your advantage. And there's some great material out there. Use the technology. Be aware of your surroundings. I know that sounds dumb. What do you mean be aware of my surroundings? I'm always aware. Are you? You get out of your car. You've got luggage in both hands. Your kids are screaming they want to go to the pool. Your wife is yelling because you picked a crappy hotel. All those things add up real quick. And all of a sudden you find yourself completely not aware. See who's hanging out. Are there people hanging out? One of the first things I do when I get to a hotel, I drive around the entire hotel. Why? What are you doing that for? You lost? Nope. I am checking out to see if there are people hanging out outside. I'm looking to see if there are cars in the parking lot that look like they're broken down, because that tells me that there might be some people living there long term. And you don't know who you're running into in those situations. I find a lot of times the hotels that have sort of longer term people living there don't always turn out to be the nicest place. And please, if you're staying in a hotel right now because something happened, my apologies, but I find that some of those lower rent hotels draw a certain bunch of characters. So just be careful. Take a drive around. And again, if there's people hanging out outside, what are they doing hanging out outside? Why are they? Yeah, you want to get some air, but if they look shady, I know, John. Oh my God, you're profiling. Yeah, I profile.
You're gonna make me have to jump in here, because my wife always complains that if I would just spend the extra $10 a night, I wouldn't have the one that has the 10-foot wire with the razor wire on the outside, or when you go inside to get the room, the guy's sitting behind a wire cage with 2 Doberman pinchers. That something's up with that neighborhood, possibly.
I'm with you, Rob. I like those places. They crack me up. I like an adventure when I travel, and that tends to be a little bit of an adventure, again, because you don't know what you're getting into, and I like to be exciting when I travel. How boring if you go and nothing happens, right? Right. My wife is rolling her eyes right now and calling me bad names because she's been there. I know it is fun to post pictures when you were on vacation, right? Wait till you get back. I know it's not as fun. But I got to let people know what I'm doing. No, you don't. No, you really don't. A, they get angry because you're showing off. And B, you're just telling people that, hey, I'm not home. And as simple as your kids even posting stuff, your friends might be, yay, cool, they're on vacation, but your kids' friends, they tell other friends, and you don't know who in that group of friends knows other people. You would be surprised how quickly things like that spread. Oh, so-and-so's house is deserted. You see stories of...
We've all seen it in those movies where they all have a party at the house.
Big house party, right? And we saw one on the news. It was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. It wasn't even an Airbnb. It was just somebody's home that was empty. And it turned into a party, and they were not home, and they still don't know how people got access to the house. But somewhere along the way, somebody realized the house was empty. So that turned into trouble for them real quick. So just be careful. Have your car serviced. I hit on this quickly. Make sure your tires are up to speed. Make sure you got that oil changed before you hit the road. Make sure you got all the other fluids changed. Other things you do, Rob, when you go on the road?
Well, some things you think about, too, is it's not so much that your tires are ball-headed, but they may be 15 years old. So
you bought an old car and sitting in your driveway.
They're fine for going down the street to the grocery store, but you don't want to try to make it to Los Angeles on a set of old, cracked-up, dry-rotted tires.
Yeah, and you guys keep an emergency kit in your car. It's that simple. Something where you can do a couple quick minor repairs if you needed to. And if you're not that person, make sure you've got AAA or some kind of roadside assistance. Keep your cell phones charged. That's a piece of technology that,
something to eat in there just in case.
Absolutely, because if I go more than about 2 or 3 hours, we're talking hangry at that point. And if I'm trying to fix a car and I'm hungry and angry, I might do more damage to the car than than what we started out with. I get hangry
Do you
real
really
fast.
have to use the axe on the car?
It's the best way to change a tire, right? Don't they call them tire thumpers or something like that? Absolutely. Those, and Rob touched on this maybe 2 weeks ago. The power blocks, the little rechargeable pieces, keep one of those handy. They're inexpensive now, and phones die pretty quick anymore.
Well, they're handy for you charging your phone. Like I say, the one that I have, you can actually jump start your car if you need to. I mean, nothing worse than coming out of somewhere and find out you left the headlights on, and now you're stuck there, and you have to wait an hour for somebody to come and help you.
Yeah.
When you could just pull that out, give it a jump quick, and you're on the road.
Yeah, super simple. Fire extinguishers, car fire. I can't tell you how many car fires I've seen in the last couple of years. Quick and easy. People out trying to shovel snow on a car fire. That gets real old real fast. So
also keep in mind, if it's on fire under the hood, when you open the hood, the fire tends to come out to get you.
that's a flash fire at that point. It's a flashover. Yeah, if you watch TV, right? It's one of the few times that watching TV is a good thing. See how quickly when they show on TV, firemen or somebody opens a door and something flashes really quick and the fire takes off. Same thing with the car. You lift that hood, and now got fed with that oxygen.
Well, part of it is when you pull the hood up, you pull the oxygen in from the bottom, and then the hood actually tilts toward you, so it's like a fire-breathing dragon, so it blows it all in your face at that point. So,
and this is why we love having Rob Campbell around. Something I had not even thought of is the oxygen being fed from the bottom, and then, yes, it does. It funnels it right at you.
When you pull the hood up, you're basically pulling a vacuum when it pulls the air up in too, and that makes the fire flare up.
Yeah.
And then as the hood's already now aimed at you, all that new fresh fire comes out at you.
Deflects it right into your see, this is why I love Rob. Always comes up with great ideas and extra information.
If your car's on fire, your best bet's to go the other direction.
Get out. Yeah, get out and run.
I can say they don't explode like they do on TV. They just burn.
They burn quickly sometimes.
Right, but on every TV show they have this huge explosion. That's not reality. I mean, unless you're carrying around something in the car that might explode, but yeah, if you're on the way to a barbecue and your 20-pound propane bottle's in the car, then you might have some issues at that point.
Yeah, and keep a first aid kit in your car, you guys. That's an easy one. Tourniquets.
A first aid kit is a handy thing to have, whether you have it in your car, whether you just keep it on. So they got little ones you can carry on your belt. They got some you can put in your lunchbox when you're going to work or whatever. It doesn't take up a lot of room, but it's always handy to have one within a couple of yards of you.
Yeah, it's simple. They're fairly inexpensive. You can buy pre-bought kits. If you go as simple as buying a tourniquet, some quick clot, and some extra bandages and some gauze, that will cover a lot of what you need to know and what you need to have.
Every year at Christmas, give it to the littlest guy in your family, and they'll play doctor with it, and you buy a brand new kit. And that way, then they'll come out wearing 200 Band-Aids and all the stuff.
That's worth it. Every penny would be worth it at that point. Absolutely. So if some of you are around this industry, you might be familiar with the name Jim Wilson or Sheriff Jim. I pulled an article, this goes back a couple weeks, from American Rifleman, and Sheriff Jim talks about the Good Samaritan. Now, I know it's that time of year we're all wanting to be loving and kind and giving. Be careful, you guys. Sometimes being the Good Samaritan will cause you more grief than it was worth. I don't want you getting yourselves into look at that poor person broke down on the side of the road, I should stop. And then suddenly you're missing your car or you're missing. That's a pretty common tactic, even at rest stops. You got to be careful.
Right. If you see them and they look like they need help, call the police and tell them they'll come and deal with it.
Absolutely. And yeah, that's probably the quickest and easiest way to do it, you guys. Now, I'm a sucker. I will stop on occasion, but Rob hit it on the head as usual. Stop. Call the police. That's why they're there. And I know it's like, I don't want to bother them. Yeah, they're there. That's what they get paid to do. Let them go handle it, or let them go check on it. That's great tip. Absolutely.
It's kind of funny. You look at some of that stuff, and it's like, I don't want to bother them, but that's their job.
That's what they get paid for.
When they go up there, they check it all out. They're sure that they're safe. If they're not safe, they call for backup too. So instead of you getting out of the car and taking a chance on catching a tire iron upside the head.
Yeah, and it's easy, guys. If it's dark, it's a
very
very easy ambush.
This is a good time of year where everybody's out begging for money for this, that, and the other thing.
Absolutely.
Pay attention to what you're giving your money to. If you got extra money and you're willing to give it to somebody, instead of just giving it to someone you don't know, I'm sure that you know someone in your extended family, the neighbor, something that he lost his job, something's bad's happened, car broke down, whatever. Give him the money. At least you get to see what's happening locally instead of it going into somebody's pocket and they go to Aruba on the money in January.
Yeah, and you see scam after scam. You see the undercover reporters show people walk around the corner, get into a nice car. I go back and forth on this because I look at it as I've gotten older, is if I give them money, I did what I felt was right. That's on them if they do it wrong.
But think about it. How many people know some little old lady who has a car that needs a set of tires or it needs something done to it? So if you take and even then else, you take the car down and get it serviced, so the oil changed and everything checked out, so that you're sure that she doesn't have an issue in the snow or something like that. You feel good about what you're doing. It helped her out in the long run, and a lot of times she doesn't have somebody to take care of the problem with the car anyhow.
Yeah, and there's a lot of legit, charities out there. If you're not a religious person, church might not be the place, but there are churches who they have reason to take the money and they'll distribute it. We had a
right. Well, then there's local food cupboards and so on. And if you're worried about what's going to happen to the money, you can volunteer your time there. They'll gladly have you help them with their day-to-day activities.
Absolutely.
And also too, then there's some bigger ones like was Danny Thomas's with the hospital he was with, not the Shriners, the St. Jude's.
Oh yeah.
St. Jude's. If your kid is really sick and it goes to St. Jude's, it's 100% paid. You don't pay for nothing. So that there's no. It isn't like they milk you out on the thing. They use that money to help cover the cost of all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, great. And Rob, as usual, is always on point with some great information.
I'm just saying, do your research so you know what's going on with your money instead of you just give it to some guy who's going to the casino. Woohoo.
Yeah, exactly. Or just driving off in a nicer car than I drove in with and go, that's crazy. Let me give you a little shot of music here. This is Grand Funk. It's called Don't Let Them Take Your Guns. And the reason I'm going to jump into this song is I want to talk a little bit more about what's going on in Virginia and some of these Second Amendment sanctuary cities and stuff like that. I'll probably run out of time tonight, and I'll jump on it more next week. But they're like, John, why are you worried about Virginia? I know it's not Ohio, but it will have some national ramifications from not only the people who are trying to snatch guns, but some of these sanctuary cities that are Second Amendment sanctuary cities. It's a good way for us to push back a little bit. So here's a little music, and then we'll jump into that story right after. That's right. Don't let them take your guns. So part of the reason I played that is just the stuff that's going on in Virginia. They've got Senate Bill 16, and I think it's 64. Part of it is outlawing training, which Rob and I talked quite a bit about last week. Senate Bill 16 is an outright gun snatch. So I think you're seeing gun grabbers taking this to a state level now as much as anything and going that direction versus maybe the federal side of things. And as Rob pointed out, Mr. Bloomberg is dumping a ton of money into Virginia, and I think you'll see him dump a bunch of money into some different states. So here's just a news story out of Virginia talking about these counties. I think they're up to about 30 counties now in Virginia that are they're claiming themselves as Second Amendment sanctuary cities.
Now, there's 95 counties in all in Virginia, and plus 38 cities that have enough population to classify as their own county.
People are sick of it. They're saying, hey, and Rob made a good point. The Second Amendment sanctuary cities, say that 3 times fast. They're ceremonial. There's really no weight to them.